Just like on the Commodore 64 video of Renegade 3, I just want to give a quick heads up. I have been ill the last few days, cold, flu thing, whatever. And that is the reason why I haven't been uploading any videos. But I'm still not fully up to par, but I should be in a sufficient state to be able to carry on making videos. I do want to draw attention to the discussion section of my YouTube channel. If for some reason there are delays or gaps in videos, there will be an explanation put there as to why that is the case. So, on that note, enjoy this feature. Hello, and welcome to Ironman Steward's Super Off-Road Ironman Racing Ironman. You just need to emphasize the Ironman part because the game will do that quite extensively, and it's not a disrespectful comment. It's just you know the key word in this game is definitely Ironman. I will start by showcasing my birthday details. Aren't you impressed? My nationality is slightly different, but I just felt Japanese today, so why not? This game is a track racing game, very similar to games like Super Sprint and Badlands, which was basically just a time milking Super Sprint for what was worth, making it into a futuristic racing car game with weapons. Oh, I haven't covered Badlands yet. I probably shouldn't have said that. Regardless, this is a coin-op or arcade conversion done by Graftgold, which usually meant good quality games, and released through Virgin. As an arcade conversion goes, I should probably say, as arcade conversion goes in general, is what I meant to say, but words are difficult. This game is actually not far off the original arcade. Obviously, the controls will be slightly different because arcades of this type would have been controlled using steering wheels, which makes it far more cool and far more intuitive to play compared to using a joystick. You accelerate by pushing up, you turn by pushing to the sides, and you brake by holding down on the joystick. You have a nitrous available, and by pressing the fire button you can get yourself a nitrous boost, which is a temporary burst of speed, which probably comes as a huge surprise. That assumes, of course, that there's no obstacles in front of you, and by obstacles I mean the other cars. Sometimes you will send them flying all over the place, and sometimes you'll be knocked 200 yards back by trying to nitrous boost even when you are close to other vehicles. From a graphical and sound point of view, you cannot complain about this game. It's very stylized, and in that regard I think the style is perfect for the game. The music, and I find that some of the jingles a bit sharp, but the music is cheerful and encouraging some sort of have fun element, and the sound effects are sufficient for what they need to do. I don't think they are necessarily spectacular, but of course games of this type will always come down to gameplay. Being a track racing game, you can probably imagine that you race on tracks and you have to ideally win the tracks in order to progress. In this game specifically, you do have to win, which I find for an arcade game to be perfectly acceptable, because of course it's trying to make some money, but You could always argue whether a home computer version needed that restriction, because it can become rather harsh. But we'll have to go through that in a moment. Upgrade system. Just like in other games of this time, you can upgrade all sorts of interesting things like higher top speed, fast acceleration. The shocks in this game will cause your car to bounce less when driving over bouncy obstacles. And of course, tires will improve your or will tighten your steering, which I need to say can feel rather wonky when you just upgraded your steering. It can feel extremely loose compared to what you came from, even with a single upgrade. So it's something to bear in mind. You are driving against 4 or 3 other opponents even. You can play this game multiple players, but of course I'm here all by my lonesome, so I will just be playing by myself. But when you're playing by yourself, you are playing against 3 opponents, but essentially you're only playing against one. The 2 other opponents do not need to do anything but being an obstacle to you in order to allow the leading computer car to win. And because you have to win in order to carry on racing, there can be some elements of frustration showing its face in this game. Something that needs to be said concerning this game is a mechanic I am not a fan of in any kind of racing game, whether it's this style or 3D racing games, especially not in 3D racing games, to be honest. But how well you perform directly dictates how the computer performs. If you are foolish enough, and I'm saying foolish enough, just like the Super Sprint, to win by a lap, the following race will be virtually impossible for you to win, because the computer will just, oh, okay, you can drive that well, okay, we're just going to absolutely floor it, drive perfectly, never miss a corner, never miss a beat, never miss anything, and there's nothing you can do to catch up. And because you need to win in order to progress, then you quickly end up in a bad position. The game will allow you to continue. You get 3 attempts in total, and once you use the continue, which you most likely will be forced to at one point or another, you will get $100,000 in cash, and the computer's difficulty will be reset down to its lowest difficulty level. Which of course means, because you in between have upgraded your car, you'll have a chance of winning by even larger margins, meaning that the following race after that race means that you get absolutely mauled. It's something to be mindful of, so if you, during the video, have noticed that I've sometimes been parking in front of the finishing line, making sure not to win by too much of a time gap, that is the explanation for it. The mechanical side is so pronounced that even if you have a fully upgraded car and you drive virtually perfect, you can be in a position where one car will run off ahead of 2 others, and the 2 others will effectively form a wall you cannot get past. It is a somewhat annoying way of being game overed, but it is a factor in these kind of games, and it is just something you have to deal with. I cannot deny that the game is cheerful. It's fun to play in moderate doses, and of course if you have someone to play with, it becomes even more exciting and enjoyable. Not a bad little game, not the best I've ever played, but definitely not the worst. And on that note, I'm going to say thanks for watching, take care, and see you next time. Bye bye for now.